Hello everyone and welcome to week 3 of English 120. This week we're going to be talking about writing an academic essay. You're going to be reading Susan Sontag's essay regarding the pain of others and watching a film clip from the movie Medium Cool. You're going to be participating in a discussion regarding the pain of others and the film clip Medium Cool, then doing some pre-writing exercises in your journal, and begin working on your first essay assignment. Finally, in comp class, you'll be completing Define Your Research Strategy. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about the whole academic writing process. This is a process you'll be going through again and again as you write essays this semester. The writing process has really 3 phases to it. In the first phase, you generate ideas. In the second phase, you plan, draft, and develop your paper. And in the third phase, you revise and edit. So let's go back to that first phase. Let's go back to that first phase. Use pre-writing. You use pre-writing as a way to generate ideas. The step 1 is you always want to review the assignment that's given to you because you really want to understand what you need to accomplish with your writing, what is expected of you in this essay. The second thing you want to do is you want to choose your pre-writing techniques, and oftentimes you'll want to do more than one type of pre-writing to generate ideas through pre-writing techniques. One way to do so is by brainstorming. Use free association to stimulate a chain of ideas, often to personalize a topic or break it down. You can do this alone, or you can do it with a group of friends. For example, maybe I'm thinking of an apple, and the first thing I think about when I think of an apple is Gravenstein apples. When I think of Gravenstein apples, I think of history. When I think of history, I think of how it needs to be rewritten. And when I think of rewriting, I think of, you see how I'm going off in a chain of associations. One thing leads to another. That's called brainstorming, and it's really informal. You can do it on a piece of paper. You can do it with a group of friends on a whiteboard. You just really want to open up your mind to things you didn't even know you were thinking about. Another thing that you can do is free writing. This is another way to tap into your unconscious by writing continuously. That means without lifting your pen or pencil from the page for a specific amount of time. Usually you want to do it for at least 10 minutes. So how do you do it? You start off by writing a sentence at the top of the page, then you're going to write without stopping for at least 10 minutes. You don't want to censor yourself, and you want to feel free to let your mind wander. If you get stuck, start asking yourself questions such as, what interests you about this topic? What do you care most about? What do you know about that the next person doesn't know? And what have you read about this topic, observed, or heard about? How might you feel about this topic if you were someone else? You want to go through this process, and you want to keep repeating the process until you've found a good idea. Another way, if you're more of a visual thinker, to do pre-writing is to doodle or sketch. If you think visually, you might want to take out a blank piece of paper and try doodling or sketching your way to a paper topic. You're going to begin with a key visual at the center top of the page, and then you're going to add sketches or doodles as they occur to you to embellish, expand, define, or redirect your topic. Another way to do so is through mapping. Maybe you really like to think through all the subtopics of things. One way to do so is through mind mapping. There's mind mapping software, or you can just use Post-it notes on a big piece of paper or a whiteboard. You want to start with the topic or idea in the center of the page, and then you want to use sticky notes or cloud software to start thinking of subcategories of that topic around the main topic. And then for each subtopic, you want to think of more subtopics for those topics. Keep going until you get deeper and deeper into your mind map. Another way to do pre-writing is to ask reporters questions. Some of those questions are who, what, where, when, why, and how. I have an example of going through this process, thinking about the Kennedy assassination. And it's a really good way to really deepen your understanding of how to get to more information about something. So if you were doing this as the pre-writing for the Susan Sontag essay, you could say, who was Susan Sontag? What kind of person was she? What kind of writer was she? What did she write in her, what did she write about? Um, what in particular is regarding the pain of others about? What happens in the essay? Um, where does the essay take place? Um, where did Susan Sontag live? See, I'm taking you through really asking these questions that aren't all completely connected. They're connected by the topic, but the idea is you're really probing to try to find more information to think about so you can critically think about the topic and write an effective essay. So once you've generated ideas, then it's time to really discover material. You want to shape and support your ideas, and you'll need evidence to do so. That's facts, figures, reports, opinions, or examples. You find evidence through your own experience and knowledge, through your own research. And don't worry, we're going to be doing a lot of research over the course of the semester. When you do research, you want to find materials that draw you to new approaches and to think critically about all of these sources, meaning don't just look for people who agree with you. Look for all different sides of this, of whatever the topic is that you're looking into. So once you've generated ideas, then you need to plan, draft, and develop your essay. When you plan, you identify your purpose and audience, you decide on one main point, a thesis statement, and you state it as a thesis statement. You organize your ideas by grouping or outlining. After you've planned your essay, then you start drafting it. You start and restart. Start writing. It's not going the right way. You restart. You build paragraphs. You open and conclude each paragraph. And you create coherence. That means it needs to flow from one paragraph to the next. Then you really want to develop what you're saying. You want to explain and support what you're saying. You want to add definitions, examples, and details. And you want to supply evidence such as facts, statistics, and expert testimony and observations to support what you're saying. So let's talk a little bit more detail about planning, drafting, and developing your paper. After you've done your pre-writing, the next step in your writing process is planning your paper. As I said, you want to identify your purpose and audience. So the first thing you want to think about is, from your pre-writing, hopefully you've discovered a topic. If you haven't, right, you need to go back and do some more pre-writing. Once you've found an idea, you'll want to start testing various ways of stating it, given your purpose, why you are writing, and your audience, who you are writing to. And for the most part in this class, your audience will be me, your professor, and your fellow classmates. So keep that in mind when you think about the audience that you're addressing. So for example, maybe I work on the Napa Valley College campus, and there's a lot of parking issues in the morning, especially at 9 o'clock, 9:30, when people are trying to get to their classes. So if I had an idea, parking in the morning before class is annoying, right? That's not really the best way to state the topic that I'm thinking about. A better way to say it could be campus parking is a big problem, because it doesn't just talk about my reaction, my feelings about it. It talks about a larger issue that could affect more than one person. Once you have your topic thought through, next you want to arrange your ideas and material in a sensible order that will clarify your point. One way of doing this would be to create an outline or to analyze the main point by breaking it down into parts. For example, parking on campus is a problem for students because of the long lines, inefficient entrances, and poorly marked spaces. A thesis is the main point of your essay and your slant, or the reason why you are writing about this topic. If you don't discover a solid thesis while you're planning, don't worry. You'll have more time to perfect your thesis while you develop your draft. So once you've figured out your draft thesis, the next step is to write. You've already begun to figure out the structure, right? And it's okay to just let it emerge as you have it on the page. Drafting is where the magic of writing can happen. But also, don't get discouraged if your writing isn't perfect in your first draft. It isn't meant to be. Writing takes many drafts, and if you're doing it otherwise, chances are you aren't writing to your full potential. So when you develop, you're going to go back to that draft and weave in explanations, definitions, examples, details, and evidence to make sure your ideas are clear and persuasive. So while you draft, you want to consider the template form of the essay. Every essay that you write for this class will need an introduction where you introduce your topic and state your thesis. You'll also need body paragraphs. Each of these will develop a subtopic that will help prove your thesis. Each body paragraph should also use evidence to support what you're saying. Finally, you'll be writing a conclusion. In it, you'll tell us how you've proven your thesis, and you'll tell us what the readers gained by reading your paper, the so what, and maybe even relate your paper to a larger purpose. What does it have to do with society? What does it have to do with something larger? All right. So hopefully that introduction gave you some information about how to go about really thinking about drafting your essay, because what we're going to be getting to by the end of this lecture is your assignment, your first writing assignment for this class. But before you get to that, you're going to need to do some work. The first thing you need to do is actively read Susan Sontag's essay. Her essay is found in The Conscious Reader. Before you even read it, I want you to think about what the title means regarding the pain of others. What do you predict the text will be about? Now remember, taking notes on your essays is required. Your active reading in this class is required, and I will be setting up conferences for us to meet in the next couple of weeks to go over your active reading. If you are not active reading, you will not get points for this, and that will affect your participation grade, so please make sure you're actively reading. Who wrote the text? Do you know anything about Susan Sontag? If you also want to make sure that you read the biography in order to find out more about her. Remember, the biography is found right before the essay in The Conscious Reader. What genre is it? Is it poetry, fiction, drama, nonfiction, or is it an essay? And when was it published? While you're reading, I want you to circle words or concepts that you aren't familiar with. If you don't know them, you should look them up. For example, in this essay, Susan Sontag mentions the death of 100 cuts. This is something that I didn't know about before I read the essay. And when I found that reference to the death of 100 cuts, I looked it up on Google. I just did a quick search to see what it was that she's referring to. There's a lot of references in this text that will make much more sense to you if you look up what she's talking about, and you really want to take the time to do so. You don't have a lot of reading this week, but what you do read, I need you to read really deeply because it'll make it really a lot easier for you to do your assignments that way. You want to mark words or passages that make you think about things you've already read or watched in your life. Maybe something she says reminds you of a TV show you saw once or a book you read. Mark words or passages that bring to mind personal experiences. Maybe you can relate to something she's saying. Mark passages that you agree with or disagree with, and then state why you agree or disagree with the passage. If you want to mark anything that's really difficult, there are passages in here that might be difficult for you to read. Underline them or highlight them, and then come back to them after you've read the whole essay. You want to mark passages you really like, and then note why you like this passage. You want to mark parts of the text that highlight the main theme of the text, because by the end of the text, you really want to be able to summarize what's being said. As you read, you want to ask questions. Ask Susan Sontag questions. Ask yourself questions, or even ask me questions in the side. And if you see any literary elements, go ahead and identify them. All right, after you've read the essay, I'd like you to watch the opening scene from a movie called Medium Cool. It's up in underneath this lecture in our class, and there's also a link to the YouTube clip here. After you watch the clip, after you've read the essay and after you've watched the clip maybe a couple times, I'd like you to reflect on the clip from Medium Cool and the essay by Susan Sontag. Google Medium Cool and try and find out more about the film. When is it set and how was it filmed? Why do you think the reporters do not respond to the young girl who has been in the accident? Next, find out more about Sontag's essay regarding the pain of others. Who was Susan Sontag? When did she write this essay? Discuss Susan Sontag's assertion that passivity dulls feeling. Have you ever seen a gruesome scene depicted on television or in real life? What was your response? What does Sontag mean when she writes that compassion needs to be translated into action or it withers? This will be your conversation for this week. You'll see it posted. Next, for this week, you're going to be completing in comp class, define your research strategy. and I'll put more information up on that online. Finally, for this week's reflection, you're going to do at least 3 different pre-writing exercises on the prompt assigned writing assignment number 1, and you'll see that in just a second. Please post your exercises as your reflection this week. Remember, you need to do at least 3. Try out 3 different kinds. All right, here's your writing assignment. You're going to write a 3 to 4 page paper where you write about your own reaction to a theme or main idea found in Susan Sontag's essay. What idea from her essay or what idea from the movie clip Medium Cool spoke to you and why? Make sure you use examples from the text, quotations, and your own personal experiences to support what you're saying. The final draft is not due until Wednesday, February 19th. The final draft must be in MLA format, and it needs to be in Times New Roman 12-point font. I'll post more information on the formatting of your essay next week, but right now you really want to make sure you work on generating as many ideas as you can. You're going to upload your draft. You're not going to paste it into the assignment tab, but this draft is not going to be live until this assignment is not going to be live until next week because it's not due until next week. This week you are just generating a draft to get yourself ready to write it. Just a reminder, your essay must contain an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Also, I'll be posting more information soon about a library visit that I've set up for us at the Napa Valley College Library. There will be alternative times available for those who can't make the scheduled time, and I'm hoping we'll be able to videotape the visit. But if possible, please make yourself available to visit the library. I will post the information in the next few days about when the visit is. All right, guys, here's information about the following week. But if you have any questions about this week, feel free to reach out to me, and I look forward to seeing you online.